And with the skills that you have acquired here at Keiser University, each of you, each and every one of you, has now the ability and the power to leverage activism and engagement, and no matter what you decide to do, and no matter what field you decide to be active and engaged. You know, too often people think that feeling engaged and being a good citizen is, well, when you have to write a check to the IRS, and then voting every once in a while. That's enough. By the way, yes, it is good that you vote, and it is unfortunate that you have to write the check to the IRS. But that's not enough. It is not enough. Democracy does not work by osmosis. Democracy requires involvement. It requires caring. It requires sacrifice. And it requires every one of you to help better our community, to make this community and this great country a little bit better than when you got here and you grew up through it. A little bit better than we all inherited. And daily activism, frankly, is essential. It's vital to the long-term success of this great nation. As we focus on the issues of our time, we need new voices, new generations, new activists, new heroes to step up and lead. And yes, we're looking at you to do that from now on, to step up and to lead. One of the most critical, I think, economic issues, and really even the security issue of our times, is energy security. An introduction, and in this kind of introduction, you heard that's an issue that I've been involved with now for some time. I've been involved with it for some time because I felt an urgency, not just now, but an urgency to deal with that issue that I knew was always going to be an important issue of our times. And obviously we need to have a three-tier approach to addressing our energy problems, both here and globally. And it's vital. It's vital that we focus on a comprehensive energy plan that provides short, medium, and long-term solutions to ensure that all of us and future generations live in a thriving, prosperous environment like we are living in right now. But we need to really put our heads together. And we need to put everything on the table to make sure that all of us address these issues. So whether it's solar or wind energy, or oil shale, or nuclear, or domestic exploration, all of the above has to be on the table. And all of us, and all of you, can be involved in all of those issues and in the decisions as to how we pursue that future. So many of the next generation energy sources, by the way, right now are not even economically realistic or feasible. So our planet needs bright people like you all to focus on the important issues. I'm mentioning one of them. It's not the only one, but it's one that I think is urgent and that requires our involvement. And remember, our involvement isn't anywhere, whether it's in the approach of production or whether it's your activism to make sure that people like me are doing the right thing. In the coming years, and frankly decades, millions of new jobs will be created as a direct result of this need to become energy self-sufficient. So we need to encourage Americans. And we need to encourage American innovation to make clear our national commitment, a real national commitment to energy security and independence. And as I mentioned before, we live in the world's greatest democracy. And it is unfortunate, however, that many people around this planet don't enjoy the same freedoms, the same opportunities that you all, and that all of us have here in our country, that we sometimes take it so much for granted. You know, and our freedoms are something that we should not take for granted because they're very frail. And we can't lose them if we don't stand up to keep those freedoms, those opportunities alive. And look, my parents, as Ms. Keiser said, I'm a first-generation American. My parents come from an enslaved island just 90 miles away. An island where civic engagement and activism is criminalized and brutally punished. And there are thousands and thousands of people in prison just because they have the courage to stand up and say, we want to be free. And we demand to be free. And we will not tolerate oppression anymore. And we cannot forget those who are suffering 90 miles away from us, 100 miles away from us, 1,000 miles away from us, and thousands of miles away from us. We cannot take our freedoms for granted, and we should always remember that there are those that don't have those freedoms. And we should always keep deep in our heart that famous saying that there, but for the grace of God, go I. We should never forget those who do not have the privilege that we have here. Now, by the way, Cuba is not, unfortunately, the only nation to prevent its citizens from practicing civic engagement and freedom. In places like North Korea and China and Vietnam, decisions are made for the citizens. And any engagement and any opposition is met with very, very severe consequences. Under those regimes, basically, citizens exist to serve the wings of the government and not the other way around. And again, with very severe consequences. But here, even here in our backyard, we have tough issues. Look, millions right here in our hemisphere have their freedoms threatened every single day. Whether it's by Hugo Chavez in Venezuela, whether it's by, we look at, again, close by, our strongest ally in the region, Colombia, our strongest, closest friend in the region, where terrorist organizations, particularly the FARC, kidnap and murder and hold people hostages for ransoms as a way to raise funds for their anti-democratic attacks against the democratically elected government of that wonderful country. It is our responsibility to help and to stand up against anti-democratic forces in our region and to defend our friends and to defend our allies who seek to provide for their citizens with the rights that we here enjoy and we take for granted. We must look at our neighbors in their struggles, and we need to help them preserve their freedoms as well. And that's something that all of you can be a great part of. We live in a great community where activism is encouraged, and we cannot forget that there are those that don't have that freedom. As you move forward now to face and conquer the new challenges, please always remember that the civic engagement, that activism, it's your voice. And it's your responsibility to use it. It's a privilege, but it's also a responsibility for you to use it. Remember that we are fortunate to live in the greatest country, the greatest democracy that God has ever placed in this planet of ours. It is now yours to help shape. It is now yours to help form. It is now yours to help lead. I am confident that because of what you have received here at Keiser University, you will take on that challenge. You will continue to lead. You will make your family and your community proud. You will make your faculty proud. I know that because today you are graduates of this great institution. Congratulations.